Buying a car is one of the biggest investments that you can make.
So who makes the most reliable cars? Consumer Reports' annual car reliability survey has just been released. Earlier today, we talked with Mike Quincy, an automotive reporter at Consumer Reports. First off, how does Consumer Reports determine the reliability of a car?
Well, Consumer Reports does surveys with its members, and the latest automotive reliability survey that came out, we have over 400,000 experiences from people that subscribe and are part of Consumer Reports, and that makes up our new car reliability predictions.
So I understand you surveyed 30 different brands. Which ones were the most reliable cars?
Well, no big surprise here. The most reliable brands generally tend to come from Japan. We're talking about Lexus, Mazda, Toyota. But some of the surprises were that the Korean brands such as Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia are really closing the gap. And certainly the good news, if you're rooting for the home team, is that Dodge finally cracked into the top 10.
But only one American manufacturer in the top 10.
That is true. You know, it's always kind of a mixed bag when Consumer Reports looks at our annual reliability survey. We're finding that the domestics, they make some strides in some areas, and they kind of fall back on other areas.
Which were some of the brands that missed the mark and were the least reliable in your survey?
Well, as you know, we talked about the good news from Detroit is Dodge. The bad news from Detroit is Cadillac. Cadillac actually came in dead last out of the 30 manufacturers, which, you know, is unfortunate. A brand that is not necessarily surprising is Alfa Romeo. They have not done well in Consumer Reports reliability surveys, but there is one brand on there from Japan who you wouldn't think would be so bad, and that would be Acura. They also were in the bottom.
That is surprising. Cars in general, though, are becoming more reliable, aren't they? The mechanics, the electronics that are mixing up some of these car manufacturers.
Well, there's always kind of good news and bad news when it comes to automotive technology. The good news is that in-car electronics and navigation systems and electronic climate systems and safety equipment especially has never been better. The bad news is that a lot of these in-car electronics and infotainment systems are causing big problems in Consumer Reports reliability surveys. The engines and transmissions are getting more sophisticated and more fuel efficient, but they're also turning out to be pretty problematic.
How important is reliability overall to people when they're making a decision about buying a car?
Well, when it comes to buying a car, it's the second highest or largest purchase that people make outside of buying a home. So Consumer Reports likes to do is get this information to its members so they can decide on buying a vehicle that is going to hold up over time. And instead of buying a first model of your car, especially a redesign or a newly introduced model, Consumer Reports reliability surveys are showing that these models especially are being problematic. And you know, what good is it to shell out all this money for a car if you're constantly bringing it back to the dealer to get it fixed?
But reliability remains on the top of shopping lists for most people.
As it should. I mean, Consumer Reports has always been big proponents of good reliability. I think we've really pushed the industry to make cars more reliable. We also want people to seriously consider getting as much safety equipment as they can afford. We're big fans of forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking. These are becoming more and more prominent in cars, and the data is showing that it's helping to reduce accidents.
Good information. Mike Quincy from the always reliable Consumer Reports. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you, Mike. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me on.
Interesting reading.
It was an interesting result, yeah.
Well, it is Friday Eve, as we like to call it around here.
When we come back, we'll find out what's happening in the 608 this weekend. Joel Patnod from Madison Magazine will join us when Live at 4 continues. There he is. Hi, Joel.